But that's sort of what I've come across in the course of writing this. And now I don't really know where it's going next. I might get a couple extra bloggers, and we might do a couple more. I was going to read you a couple of things, if that's okay. One is to give you a taste of my tribute to E.J. Thrib. When Evel Knievel died, I did an obit for Evel Knievel. And I'll just read you part of it, because it involves John Ive. Did you know that John Ive from Apple went to Newcastle Polytechnic? I found that out this week because I posted something about Newcastle, which I'll also read you. But part of the thing about Steve, taking the piss out of Steve, is that he's kind of an idiot, right? He thinks he's a genius, but he's sort of like a buffoon, like Ricky Gervais's character in The Office, right? He's kind of an asshole, but he thinks he's great and thinks everybody loves him, right? So, rest in peace, Evel Knievel, O leaper, O thrill seeker, O wearer of patriotic jumpsuits. You earned huge amounts of money with your pointless suicidal stunts and brought glory to America. Yet the IRS chased you down and stung you for millions in unpaid taxes. Bastards! But then this is the good part. World's Greatest Daredevil. That was your title, which is strange, because in the big jumps you always crashed. Caesar's Palace, Snake River Canyon, Wembley Stadium. John Ive says if someone crashed that much in our business, they wouldn't call you World's Greatest. They'd call you Microsoft or Windows, right? There's a Microsoft guy in the front row. And then he says, you inspire people. One time when I was 13, I built a ramp on my street and put on a cape and a football helmet and tried to jump a Schwinn Stingray over 3 kindergarten kids. Each kid lay on the pavement holding a pair of enormous torches, rolled up newspapers doused in gasoline. Flames leapt 8 feet into the air, right? Soon after this, as a condition of my parole, I joined my school's electronics club. The rest, as they say, is history, right? So that's, and here's one, this is one from this week. Did you see there was a story in The Independent this week about badly named towns in England and how this town called Shitterton wants to change its name, right? And you just don't get that in the States, right? You just don't. Like, in Nova Scotia, there's a town called Crapo, which is close, right? But, so this is Steve this week, fake Steve says, so I'm in Newcastle to give a speech, and I happen to see this article about a village called Shitterton that wants to change its name, as some locals feel the name is hurting property values. Imagine that. Best of all is the sidebar, which lists other towns over here that have really bad names, like Cockington, Licky End, Knob End, Thong, Ugly, Wetwang, Twat, Penis Stone, Bitchfield, Crapstone, and Cockermouth, right? And which I got lots of comments on this, right? But meanwhile, just to digress a bit, I just wrote to Johnny about this too. What the fuck is up with the way people talk here? I mean, they open their mouths and sounds come out, but I can't understand any of it. I'm not even sure it's English. It's all a bit disappointing. And here's where it gets really good. It's all a bit disappointing because I was really looking forward to the visit, and as a huge Beatles fan, I've always thought of this as kind of a holy place, like Mecca or Sedona. And I realized the Mersey Beat stuff happened 50 years ago, can you believe it? But still, I figured there'd be something. I'm sad to report, however, that this is a pretty grim little city, and worse yet, there's precious little done here to commemorate the Beatles. I went out this morning and got a taxi and asked the driver if he could show me the Rathskeller or the Cavern Club or any other places of note. The guy just looked at me. How about Abbey Road then, I said. Again, nothing. I thought maybe it was just the way I talk. Maybe they have as much difficulty understanding my accent as I do with theirs. Back at the hotel, however, I asked, and they told me there's really not much to see here regarding the Beatles. No museum, not even a souvenir shop. Bit of a letdown, but times change, or tempus fugit, as they say in German. They've also never heard of a mango smoothie. Oh, well, I'm feeling old. Right, so that's... And then the best part of that is this is I do these all the time. They're like correctard bait. We call these people correctards. Because one thing I realized early on is the internet is full of people looking to correct other people. Like they're just dying to find a mistake and like, fuck you, you idiot. You know, like, I'm smarter than you, right? And I covered Linux for years, right? So the Linux world is full of these guys. It's actually GNU Linux. Like okay, and they get really angry. So I started putting in intentional mistakes, right? And like. And like people would write in to correct them. It's so hilarious. And like no matter how stupid you make the mistake, like the Beatles from Newcastle, like there are people who wrote into this. Actually, Steve, it's Liverpool, right? It's like, oh, really? And then like the great part of it is like so half the audience is falling for the joke, and the other half is waiting for them to fall for the joke so they can laugh at it, right? And then the trick is like how long can you wind them up? Like sometimes you can actually do a correction that has another mistake in it, and they get even more pissed, Like, I did one about Portugal once, the best one ever. I was this long, and I had like hundreds of comments. It was just, all I said was, some guy sent me, for real, somebody sent me a link to a government website in Portuguese, and it showed they were going to open an Apple store in Lisbon. Great. So I think saying, I could find it here anyway. Say, I don't speak Lebanese, but if you do, the Portugalians are really excited because we're about to open a new store in Lisbon. And it's great news for them because until now, the Lisbonians have had to buy their Macs from neighboring countries in the Middle East. That's it, right? Like, nuts, right? People go crazy, right? Because the other thing is, like, Europeans, they're all waiting for Americans to be stupid anyway, right? So, and we certainly live up to that. We really give them plenty to go with, right? So they all write in, like, we're not in the Middle East. We don't speak Lebanese. We have our own language. It's called Portuguese. It's also spoken in these countries and blah, blah, blah. Like, amazing, amazing. It's so good that I posted a correction and then said something like mea culpa, as they say in French, and like, they go all again, like, it's just great, right? It's like the gift that keeps on giving. And am I out of time now? I guess I am. Is it okay. The one other thing, and I'll just end with this, is that the best thing that ever happened to my blog was the iPhone, right? Last June, when the idiots were lining up for like 5 days to get a phone that there was no shortage of, right? Like, and I didn't understand that at all, right? Like there's plenty of them. You can just wait till Saturday and go in. You don't have to queue for 5 days, right? And I realized, all joking aside, I mean, the power of that is what people are really queuing with. They're not queuing to get the phone. They're queuing to make a statement about who they are, right? And think of the power of the brand. Like, Microsoft. Forgive me, but like they would kill to have that kind of, love, right? But I wrote this one thing about the iPhone, and because it was all so serious, and this I think kind of took the piss out of not just Apple but the culture. So this is Steve writing on the day the iPhone dropped, and the headline was 29 June 2008, the day the world changed. Because I love the way that Apple's always like, the world has changed. It's like a fucking cell phone, right? But let's be honest about why this is happening. This is not a fad. This is not some phony, hyped-up, astroturfing Microsoft campaign. This is a genuine outpouring of love and enthusiasm and excitement from people whose souls have been stirred by the wonder of technology and the ability to communicate with other human beings in ways that have never before been possible. That's what this is about. It's about saying, look, I realize there's something bad happening in Darfur, and there's some kind of AIDS epidemic in Africa, and there's, some thousands of people, there's a war in Iraq where people are dying for no reason, and, there are born-again Christians taking over our government, right? And yes, those things are important, and someday we may take to the streets to say something about them if we can think of anything to say about them, but for now, we Americans take to the streets for this cause. Right here, right now, we take a stand. This is our moment. From pole to pole, from north to south, from east to west, let the message go out. We are Americans, and we have values. Hear us, world. Hear us and say, wow, right? So it was so appalling. My predecessor at Forbes, the tech columnist at Forbes, quit because of the iPhone. He said, he was on leave. He said, I'm never coming back. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. It's too crazy. So that's the end of my little talk. I'm sorry it was so rambling and disorganized. Do you have time for questions? Or,